Okay, guys. So I apologize. I'm starting this a little late. I was on another call, but today we're going to be talking about what it means to actually pressure test your goal. Now, the reason why we wanted to do this is because more oftentimes than not, when people are setting goals, and hopefully you've already set your goal for 2026. Hopefully, this is kind of a review of what you've already done. Now, if you haven't done this, you got to get it done in the next week or so, because what you don't want to do is get into 2026 and still be fine tuning your goals while you're in that year. So, step number one, make sure those goals are set. Now, step number two is it might hit people a little harder. Now, what we see more oftentimes than not when we're meeting with an agent, and whether they're an experienced agent, they want to go from 200,000 GCI to 300,000 GCI, or they want to go from 4 units to 8 units. A lot of times when we ask them why that is their goal, they do not have a good reason. More oftentimes than not, the answer is, sorry, let me fix that. More oftentimes than not, the answer is, well, either it sounds like a good number, I was told to double it, or I've never done that before. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, with all the love in the world, that is a stupid goal. It is a stupid goal to say, well, I want that just because I've never had it before. Well, okay. Have you ever had a lot of things that you necessarily shouldn't have or want? Just to say you've never done it is not a good reason. Now, it may feel like a good reason at the time to say that I want to go from 30 units to 60 units. That might feel like a good goal. But here's the kicker. The whole point of a goal is that it needs to be deep enough to push you when things get tough. And I'll give you a prime example. If you were that person that says you want to make $250,000 and we ask why, and you say, well, last year I made 185 and I've never made $250,000, and that kind of sounds like a cool number. Okay. Now, what are you going to do when the first quarter you're off pace? And in the second, or if we're going back to 2025, I'm in Pasadena area. What happens if your year starts off with one of the most devastating fires in the history of California? That actually happened, right? If your goal was just because it sounds cool, I can assure you, you will find excuses not to accomplish that goal. Therefore, what is the solution? The solution is we need to find a goal that is deeper than the surface level. So I'm going to start with that. If I already, fired a shot at you, take it as a healthy challenge that we want your goal to be better. Now, a few ways that we're going to do that. Number one is we're going to teach you something called the lid, and we're going to get to that shortly. But number two is when you are doing your envisioning, okay, you visualization exercises, you're going to think that, well, my big why is that I want my family to go on vacation, or I want freedom. Again, not the best goal to have, and here's why. Well, vacation, where is vacation? Where are you? What are you wearing? Who's with you? What are you eating? What are you drinking? What's the weather like? I want you to get so deep and in detail of your goal that it feels like you're already there. And here's the beauty of setting a goal like that, or a big why, is now if you're already there, you're at a lake house that you purchased with all of your GCI, your family is in the living room, it's Thanksgiving, and you invited some extended family over to the cabin, and you guys are carving the turkey, and the house smells like stuffing and mashed potatoes, and it's a nice crisp breeze going through the trees, and you can see the lake from where you're sitting. The sun is just starting to set. That is how deep and visual I want you to get. Now here's where it gets powerful. Now I want you to take that away from your family. I want you to say that didn't happen. I did not accomplish that. My family did not get to go to that lake house. My family did not get to have Thanksgiving dinner with the sunset going down over a lake because I didn't want to make my calls. That's the power of having a strong big why, a strong vision. Now, that's a little bit more, softer, more visualized. Now, if you are a type A person, a high D, and you want some numbers, I gotcha. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my screen. I'm fairly new to this platform when it comes to Zoom, so bear with me here. Here we go. So this is called the LID worksheet. Now, what does LID stand for? LID is your lifestyle, as you can see right here. It is your investing and it is your debts. Now, what does this all mean? Well, if somebody comes to me and says, I'm not super fired up about my goal. Um, you know, if I if I make $70,000, that'd be pretty nice. And I would ask, well, is this your full-time job? And they'd say, yeah, I'm the breadwinner for my house. And I'd say, okay, well, how much money do you need to survive? And they said, I don't know, probably 100,000. That seems kind of silly, doesn't it? Like, okay, so you need 100,000 to survive. Your goal is 70,000. What's your plan? Now, that may seem silly and stupid, but the truth is, we run into a lot of people with that. They don't actually know what they need to survive. And in this case, the lid is going to show what it takes to not only survive, but also to thrive. So the lid is composed of three things. Sorry, let me go back to sharing my screen. Sorry, like I said, I'm not great at this yet, but I will get better, I promise. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start putting in, let me zero all this stuff out here. You're going to start putting in how much everything costs. Now, if you have a significant other, this is a great habit to do anyways. And it's a good idea to just have a good sense of what it takes to kind of keep the family going. So I'm going to throw some random numbers to you out there. So we're a Costco family. We spend about $600 a month on groceries. We cook a lot, and that's kind of what we do. Water and gas, we have a duplex, so let's call it 450. Cell phone, 225. I'm kind of guessing on some of these. Let's see. Gardener, lawn care, probably about 120 bucks a month. Let's see. Home improvements. Again, you're not going to have this necessarily budgeted, but you can look back and kind of guesstimate. So we probably end up spending about $1,000 in just random repairs. So I'm going to give myself a little wiggle room, and I'm going to say $1,200. Daycare absolutely whoops us. That's about $1,000 a month. Finally, have one kid in school. Sending money to adult children. So obviously, some of these things. I have two toddlers. We're not at this point yet. But family hobbies, personal hobbies, subscriptions. I mean, let's call this what it is. That's probably like $80. Um, and you're just going to go through these things. We go to Disneyland. Let's say we go to Disneyland a couple of times a year. Every time we go, we're looking at about $500. So let's just break that down into $100 a month, just so it gives me a nice round number. You don't want to mess with this number here, the amount per year. This is a formula. So don't touch it. Okay. If it's shaded, don't touch it. Let's see. Birthday gifts. I mean, we looked back, we're spending about 750 to $900 on each kid's birthday. So if you want to call that, uh, let's call it $2,000. So I'm going to just say $200 a month, and that'll give us 175. Maybe that'll give me a more accurate number. Yeah, it's pretty close. Emergency fund. We always want $3,000 in the emergency fund, assuming it's not already full. Shocker, it's not full for us right now, so we're going to have to hit that number. So let's give this one 250. What will that give us? There you go, $3,000. And now we're going to go into more things. Now remember, this is just to survive. This is your lifestyle. I won't say survive. This is also to thrive, because you have concerts here, general recreation. We're a very active family. So where it says children's sports, that's going to be a pretty hefty number. My son does jujitsu. That's about 150. My daughter does gymnastics. That's another 150. And then they do other stuff. So let's call that 400 bucks a month. So it starts to get pretty hefty naturally. Dining out, we're probably spending about $200 a month dining out. Sporting events, go to a Dodger game or two, stuff like that. And then we're going to leave that alone. And we're now going to go into investing. So, are you diligent on this? This might be a little bit of an inventory check. You might realize, like, oh, we're actually doing none of these things. But let's just say you are, okay? Let's say we're spending about $1,000 a month sending money to a savings account for a real estate down payment. and investing in rental properties. Now, there's a difference here, but right now I'm going to save for the down payment. Stocks and bonds, retirement funds, we're probably spending about 250 a month towards that, should be higher. Life insurance, I think that's running us about $100. We're fairly young when we started doing that. And let's just say someone else is a little bit more diligent and they're doing $500 to the stock market. Okay. Now, debts. This is a big dog here. Student loans. We are probably at, let's call it 300 a month. Credit cards, we don't have any of that. However, we do have a HELOC that's running us about 650 bucks a month. No child support. Mortgage, that's the big dog. We're going to call that 3,500. Credit cards, we don't have credit cards necessarily. However, I will just give a guesstimate. Let's say $300 a month on credit card payments. Medical debt, none of that. Oh, we do have car payments, only for another year or so, but 500, I think it's 580 actually. So this is the beauty of this, okay? Notice what I ended up with. I now have a number, $130,000. Now, again, I think that's still being a little kind because we didn't fill in a lot of this stuff, guys. Fuel for our cars, 350 a month. Medical bills, we don't have any of that. Doctors of visits and copays, let's give that $100. Gym memberships, my wife goes to CrossFit. That's about $165 a month. Let's see, car repair. We did have some car repairs, but it wasn't crazy. So let's allocate. I'm gonna drag this down. Let's allocate $75 because it's not consistent, but it does end up adding to around $900. Let's see, family hobbies, daily treats. Oh, here we go. Now we're talking about coffees. So that's probably going to run us about 35 bucks a month because my kids, they like to get a cookie from Starbucks and things like that. General recreation, you can always adjust what these mean to you. Um, Charity and giving, we do donate. We don't like to talk about it, but yeah, we do tithe, 150 bucks. Sporting events, let's just say and again, there's another way to think of this. You can say, well, I would be okay with going to two major sporting events. Those tickets would probably run us, let's call it $100 each. So that's $400. We'd do that twice. So we're $800. So let's just allocate $70 a month. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so you can reverse engineer this and you can just give yourself whatever number monthly would equal what you think you're going to spend annually. Okay, family hobbies, personal hobbies. I'm a big jujitsu guy. I like to spend money on some jujitsu gear. Nothing crazy. So if I do $25, $300, maybe more like $40 a month. Yeah, that's pretty safe. There you go, about $500. Let's see, family hobbies, movie tickets. We go to some movies sometimes. Again, I would go annually on this one. I'd be okay with us spending about $300 a year on movie tickets. So what would that take? It would take $30, $25. There you go. So now we're getting, vacations. Okay, this is a big one. So my wife is from Wyoming. So whether or not we consider it a vacation, we go out to Wyoming about once a summer, if not every other summer. But if we don't go to Wyoming, we still want to use that money for a vacation. And that vacation is probably going to run us about $3,000 for the trip. So again, I need a number that's going to give me $3,000, so 250. And now look at how much. Let's see, college savings. We don't do much on that, but let's just call it 25 bucks because we do add about 300. Oh, but we have two kids though. It's about 50 bucks. There you go. HSAs, long-term savings, taxes, insurance. That's a big dog there. Let's call that 250 bucks a month. No child support, medical debt, no medical debts. Okay, so now we can see that my actual lid is $142,000, 142.5 to be honest. So what we would do now, and this is only on the lid today, is we would take that number and we would run it through what we call the economic model. And we can talk about that another time because I think it's actually really important. Hold on, let me switch my cameras. There you go. It's actually really important because what the economic model is going to do is it's going to break that big scary goal of 142. Is that what we said? $142,000. And it's going to break that down into not only how many transactions you need, but we're also going to take into account your business expenses, which should be about 20%, your cost of sale, which should be about 30%, and a profit margin of about 50%. So before somebody says, oh, I just need to make $142,000, wrong. That's $142,000 in profit. And most agents will make one of two mistakes. They will pay no expenses into their business, meaning they'll suffocate their business, or they'll put way too much money in expenses. They buy too many services, they have too many CRMs, and now they're starving themselves. And it's really important that you monitor your expense limit. It is 20%, and that's what we want to keep it to. So a lot of times when we're meeting with an agent and they're really proud of themselves, like, oh, I did $350,000 in GCI, and I say, oh, that's amazing. What's your profit margin? Well, and before you know it, this person's taking home about $50,000. And I'm just thinking to myself, we need to fix this right now. We need to solve this problem right now. So we will do the economic model another time. I would encourage you guys. I'll see how I can share this in the school community. You can use this lid worksheet. It does all the math for you. And another day, we will do the economic model, which will take into account your cost of sale, your expenses. It will make it so that your profit is actually the lid number. And then we'll take that and we'll say, okay, well, what are your conversion rates from leads to contacts, from contacts to appointments, from appointments to, and then we'll basically dwindle down that big, scary number to an appointment number. And we will say, okay, well, your job is to get 20 appointments on the books. Can you do that? And suddenly you see a weight lift off of people's shoulders. Suddenly they're like, oh, in order to make $142,000, I just need to go on 20 appointments. And I'll say, yes, 2 appointments per month. Can you do that? And you will see, like, you suddenly see this person light up. They're like, I can absolutely do 2 appointments per month. And then we do some coaching through that because maybe you're not anticipating a ton of appointments in November, December. So we kind of slide that up. And now you have to get 3 or 4 appointments in June, July, or August and things like that. So we'll always play with those numbers. But today, the goal was to create a goal that tied into your lid. And now that we have your lid, I want us to take that and see how many transactions, how many appointments, and we'll do the economic model another time. But I wanted to make this quick. This is our first time going live. This recording will be in the community for a little bit. And if you need the worksheet, message me and I'll send the worksheet. I'll also share it in the school community. So you guys figure out your big why, make it brutally detailed. I want sights, I want sounds, I want tastes, I want smells, I want everything about that vision. And then I want you to jump into this lid worksheet and really figure out how much money you need to make in 2026. Okay. So thanks for coming, guys. It was awesome seeing you. Welcome to the community, and we'll see you on our next call.